Hi, I'm Amanda Pasciucco, group private practice owner and licensed marriage and family therapist. As therapy becomes more mainstream, I have been asked frequently, how do I know if I need to change my therapist? The short answer is, if you have to ask, it's probably time to make a change. These are the 3 questions that I ask myself and I tell people to ask themselves when they're considering if they should change therapists. We want to use the answers to these 3 questions to assess the therapist's foundation in building connection, as well as their skill set as a practitioner. I think it's important to start with this. You get to tell your provider that you're going to look for a new therapist. You're allowed to try out different therapists. I think having a counselor, coach, or a therapist is extremely important. And just because you had experience with a few that couldn't help doesn't mean that there is no one that can help you. It also doesn't mean that the process doesn't work. So a question to ask yourself is, do I feel like I'm in a conversation with my well-informed best friend? Let's break this down further. The well-informed part of this should include, they remember key facts about your family and friends. They remember significant life changes. They understand systems theory and they understand how the people around you impact you. The best friend part of this equation is how well the therapist can do one-way communication while holding both compassion and accountability for you. This is my expectation when talking to my therapist, and it's one for you to consider as well. As an example, I have a lot of clients tell me that just after 2 sessions, they feel so at ease and the sessions feel so familiar. I can become a part of their story or their process as though we've been comfortable with each other for years. A more welcoming and judgment-free zone allows for these types of curious conversations to happen. If you find yourself hesitating or suppressing your thoughts when you're in therapy, your next thought should be, is this therapist right for me? The second question to ask is, can I literally talk about all topics with this therapist? This question will assist you in determining how comfortable you are with your therapist, not saying you actually have to talk about all topics with them. The purpose of this question is to gauge your level of trust. Establishing this environment of non-judgment and curiosity is the therapist's job. This space should feel expansive and comfortable, not confining. You have to be able to speak, think, and be heard, saying things that you're not worried about being criticized for. I've had clients say to me in session, I can't believe that we're talking about this. I've never spoken about this before. Only with trust can the therapeutic process begin to work. Have you felt this way in your therapy sessions? Can your therapist pull the substance out of the words that you're saying? Do you feel affirmed and expansive after a session? This question determines the skill level of the therapist. Let's assume that when talking to your therapist, it feels like talking to your well-informed best friend, and they create an environment where you can talk about anything. What's next? Within a therapy session, the client will describe their experiences through the lens in which they perceive the world. And just like when everyone speaks, we place meaning and emphasis on certain areas while avoiding others. We all have personal bias and make assumptions unknowingly, which is perfectly normal. You get to do this as the client. You don't have to have polished or clear ideas. This is why you're in therapy. You need help understanding and sorting through the ideas you have. It's the therapist's job to pull out the substance from the words that you speak. They use observation and curious questions to navigate your stories and situations. A good therapist can repeat back what you said in 20 minutes in about 3 sentences. And then you're like, yes, that's it. It feels like someone understands me better than I understand myself. And this doesn't need to happen every session, yet regularly it ought to happen. I think that therapy can drastically improve a person's quality of life. How would you answer these 3 questions? Do you feel like you're in a conversation with your most well-informed best friend? Do you feel like you can literally talk about any topic? Can your therapist pull the substance out of the words you speak? If you're in therapy, the answers here will tell you if you're in need of a change. And if you're not in therapy, I recommend that you try it again. It's kind of like finding the perfect restaurant. There are often lots of flops along the way to find out what's the best flavor for you. Hit like, subscribe, and the bell. I release videos Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. Follow me weekly for love and life tips.